busting the myths about journalism and the IRS. Let's start at the beginning. Journalism is vital to our communities, the country, and the world. But the digital age has caused disruption in the traditional media economy. Although for-profit journalism is struggling to find its feet, new non-profit news organizations have begun to proliferate. But for a news organization to gain the tax benefits of nonprofit status, the organization must first apply for and receive tax-exempt 501c3 status with the IRS. And a few years ago, it seemed like the IRS had stopped recognizing journalism organizations at all. From 2010 to 2012, the IRS said it was re-evaluating its rules. But now, applications are moving again. And more than 20 have been approved in the months since the slowdown ended. But that's not to say that the process of getting a tax exemption is easy. IRS standards are still complex, counterintuitive, and the source of a number of myths and misconceptions. Myth 1. Applying for 501c3 status is easy enough that you can do it on your own. You might think it's as simple as filling out a few forms, but you'll be more likely to succeed with advice from an attorney, either paid or pro bono. Myth 2. All you have to do is say that journalism is educational and you qualify. While there is no specific 501c3 exemption for journalism, news can be recognized as education. But it's not as simple as checking a box marked educational or replacing the word journalism with the word educational in your 501c3 filing. An attorney can show you how your work can be described in ways that fit IRS standards. Myth 3. Nonprofit news organizations can't earn any advertising or subscription revenue. Actually, they can. But income generated from advertising and subscription revenue, at least in the eyes of the IRS, is very different from grants and donations. And if you receive too much commercial revenue, it can put your nonprofit status at risk. Myth 4. A failed business can't come back as a nonprofit. Under the right circumstances, you can relaunch a for-profit business as a nonprofit. But the IRS looks carefully at a former for-profit's operations. If you continue to operate like a commercial business and just claim to be a nonprofit, your chances aren't good. But if you can restructure your operations, you can make the switch successfully. Legal advice is recommended to help the process of changing your business model. Myth 5. Political coverage is prohibited. 501c3 journalism organizations can report on government and politics, but there are two important restrictions on what they can publish. First, 501c3 organizations are prohibited from endorsing or opposing candidates for public office, even at the local level. A news organization can report about a candidate's background and experience, but not in a way that supports or opposes them. Second, there are strict limitations on the ability of nonprofits to call for the passage or failure of specific legislation. But you can encourage participation in the political process generally. As you can see, getting your journalism nonprofit 501c3 status can be complicated. But the good news is that a lawyer can guide you through the process. And, as we have said before, many news organizations have been successful at the IRS. Check out the Digital Media Law Project's IRS Guide for Journalism Nonprofits, where you can find more information about the process and get in touch with pro bono and reduced fee attorneys.